Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly in the evening, staring at the space next to you, wishing you could just hear their voice again, feel their presence, or share a laugh with them? Grief can feel like a heavy weight that we carry, often silently, as we grow older. And it doesn't always come from the loss of a spouse, a friend, or a loved one. It could be the loss of a way of life, a routine, or even a sense of who you are. For many seniors, grief becomes a companion at some point in life. It's natural, but it's also something that we must learn to navigate with care and compassion for ourselves. If you've lost someone close to you, or even experienced a change that feels like a loss, I want you to know this: you're not alone. Loss is something that everyone will experience in one form or another as we age, and how we cope with it makes all the difference in our emotional well-being and quality of life. It's not easy, and it's not something that just goes away on its own. But there are ways to handle grief that don't leave you stuck in sadness or overwhelmed by pain. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 healthy ways to cope with grief after 60, because it's never too late to find healing. The first thing I want you to remember is this: it's okay to grieve. Society often makes us feel like we should move on quickly or put on a brave face, especially when you're older, but grieving is a natural process that takes time. You don't need to rush yourself through it. In fact, one of the first healthy ways to cope with grief is to allow yourself to feel. It might sound simple, but it's incredibly important. Whether the grief comes from losing a loved one, the end of a relationship, or a transition in life, it's vital to recognize and honor the emotions you're experiencing. Don't push them down because you think you're supposed to be strong or get over it. If you feel sad, angry, lonely, or confused, let yourself feel those emotions. You might even cry, and that's okay. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Take the time to reflect on the memories you have of the person or the situation you're grieving. Allow yourself space to remember the good times, the laughter, and the moments that made you feel whole. This can sometimes feel painful, but it also helps you process the loss in a healthy way. It's not about staying stuck in sadness, but acknowledging the reality of the loss and what it means to you. The second step in healing from grief is one that may seem a bit counterintuitive at first. It's about taking care of your body. Grief can manifest physically, leaving you feeling drained, tired, or even sick. That's because emotional pain is deeply connected to physical well-being. When you're going through a rough time emotionally, your body might feel the effects just as strongly. But here's where the good news comes in. You have the power to nourish your body. Focus on the basics: getting enough sleep, eating nourishing meals, and staying hydrated. You might not feel like it at first, but nourishing your body will help restore your energy and emotional balance. Regular exercise, even something as simple as taking a walk around the block or doing some gentle stretching, can do wonders for lifting your mood. It doesn't have to be intense or overwhelming. Just moving your body can help release those feel-good endorphins and give you a sense of peace. Even a short walk outside, in the fresh air, can help clear your mind. A lot of times, grief causes us to neglect our bodies, either by sleeping too much or not enough, eating foods that aren't nourishing, or staying in bed too long. But remember, your body is your vehicle through this journey of life, and taking care of it is an act of love and kindness toward yourself. And trust me, even if it feels difficult, those small acts of care can make a huge difference. Now let's talk about a third way to cope with grief. And this one might sound a little strange at first, talking about it. I know that grief can feel so personal, so deeply painful, that sharing it with others might seem impossible. You may feel like no one will understand, or that you don't want to burden others with your pain. But I want to encourage you to reconsider. Talking about your grief with someone you trust, whether it's a close friend, family member, or even a therapist, can be incredibly cathartic. You don't have to have all the answers, or even know what to say. Just saying, "I'm struggling," can be a huge relief. By expressing your feelings out loud, you allow yourself to process them, rather than keeping them bottled up inside. Sometimes, just having someone listen can help you feel less isolated in your grief. It's also helpful to talk about the person you've lost, or the situation that's causing the grief. Share your memories, your favorite stories, and the things that made that person or experience special. This doesn't mean you're stuck in the past. Rather, it's a way to honor the significance of what you've lost, while also beginning the process of healing. So to recap, allow yourself to feel the grief, take care of your body, and don't be afraid to talk about it. These first steps may feel like they take time, and they do, but they're so important for navigating through the storm of grief in a healthy way. As we continue this journey together, we'll explore 3 more strategies to help you cope with loss. And I promise you, these steps will help bring some light into a time that might feel overwhelming. We'll talk about how to engage in activities that bring you joy, how to find comfort in routines, and how to seek out support when you need it most. But for now, remember, grief is not something to rush through. Be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself to feel, take care of your body, and talk about it when you're ready. In the next part, we'll dive into those additional ways to help you navigate grief and begin to heal. Now that we've covered the importance of allowing yourself to feel grief, taking care of your body, and talking about it, let's move on to the next healthy way to cope with loss, finding activities that bring you joy. I know it can be difficult to imagine doing something enjoyable when your heart is heavy with grief. The thought of engaging in any kind of activity may feel like a chore, or perhaps even feel like you're betraying the memory of the person or the life you've lost. But here's the truth: engaging in activities that make you smile, even if just for a moment, can provide healing in ways that words cannot. It's not about forgetting the loss, it's about honoring it by allowing yourself to experience joy again. One of the most effective ways to bring a little light back into your life is to do things that make you feel alive. Whether it's picking up a hobby you once loved, trying a new activity, or simply spending time in nature. Maybe you used to enjoy gardening, painting, knitting, or even playing a musical instrument. Try revisiting those things, even if it feels hard at first. Engaging in hobbies can provide a sense of purpose, even if it's just for that moment, and it can serve as a healthy distraction from the pain of grief. If you don't have a hobby that you feel passionate about, it's never too late to try something new. Sometimes, all it takes is getting out of your routine and trying a small change. A short walk in the park, a cooking class, or even a visit to a museum or gallery can offer a fresh perspective and help spark a sense of interest. Even reading a good book or watching a movie that you enjoy can give you a break from your thoughts and emotions, allowing you to rest and recharge. And don't forget about social activities. While it might feel easier to isolate yourself when you're grieving, socializing, even in small doses, can help you feel more connected. Consider joining a group or finding a community that shares your interests. Whether it's a book club, a walking group, or a craft workshop, these connections can remind you that you're not alone in this world. Being around others, especially those who can relate to your situation, can help ease the sense of loneliness that often comes with grief. The next way to cope with loss is through creating new routines. When we experience grief, our daily routine can feel like it's been shattered. The things we once did with a sense of familiarity and comfort now seem out of reach. But here's something that can help: creating new routines. Routines provide structure. They give us something to rely on when the world feels uncertain. While it's normal for routines to shift when you're grieving, it's important to create some new habits that will provide comfort and direction. It doesn't have to be anything major. Maybe it's having a cup of tea at the same time every morning, going for a walk after lunch, or setting aside time each day to reflect and relax. These simple, regular habits can help restore a sense of normalcy and give you something to look forward to each day. Even if you don't feel like it at first, try to stick with it. Over time, these routines will help provide emotional stability and comfort. The more you do them, the more you'll begin to feel grounded. And when you start your day with a small, familiar habit, whether it's a favorite meal or a walk around the block, it will remind you that despite the grief, there is still beauty in the everyday moments. Now let's talk about seeking support, a topic that may be tough for some, but so important in the healing process. Sometimes we feel like we have to handle our grief alone. Maybe you're used to being the strong one in your family or friend group, or maybe you've always prided yourself on being self-sufficient. But grief isn't something you have to bear on your own. It's okay to seek support when you need it. Support comes in many forms, whether it's reaching out to family and friends, joining a support group, or seeing a counselor. If you don't have someone close by, support groups, whether in person or online, can connect you with people who truly understand what you're going through. Sharing your feelings with others who are experiencing similar emotions can create a sense of solidarity and remind you that you don't have to go through this alone. A grief counselor or therapist can also be incredibly helpful. Sometimes we need someone who can help guide us through the complex emotions of grief, someone who has the tools to help us process those feelings in a healthy way. Therapy doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're being proactive about your emotional well-being. Reaching out for professional help can be one of the best decisions you make during this difficult time. Remember, support isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It's a way of taking care of yourself and honoring your grief in a way that allows you to heal. So far, we've talked about several important ways to cope with grief. Allowing yourself to feel the emotions, taking care of your body, engaging in activities that bring you joy, creating new routines, and seeking support. These are all ways to help you process your grief and move forward in a healthy way. But we still have one more important step to discuss, and this one is truly about finding peace in your grief. It's about embracing acceptance and understanding that healing is a journey, not a destination. It's easy to feel like healing should happen quickly, like there's some timeline we're supposed to follow. But the truth is, grief doesn't have a set timeline. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes you might feel okay, and other times the weight of the grief might come crashing back. That's perfectly normal. The next part, we'll dive deeper into this idea of embracing acceptance, and I'll share more insights into how you can find peace in your grief, and ultimately, move forward in a way that honors the life you've lived and the person you've lost. But for now, know this: every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward healing. You don't have to rush, and you don't have to do this alone. Keep going, and give yourself the grace and compassion you deserve. Now that we've covered several key ways to cope with grief, allowing yourself to feel the emotions, taking care of your body, finding joy in activities, creating new routines, and seeking support, it's time to talk about the final step in the healing process: embracing acceptance. This step is crucial because it's what allows us to move forward with peace, even when we carry the weight of loss. Grief doesn't have a clear endpoint. Some days, it may feel like you've made progress, and other days, you may feel as if the pain has come rushing back. And that's okay. Grief is unpredictable, but it is also something that you can learn to live with in a healthier way. The goal isn't to get over the loss, but to find a place of acceptance where you can honor the memories, let go of the constant pain, and make space for healing. Embracing acceptance doesn't mean you're forgetting the person or the life you've lost. It simply means accepting that loss is a part of life, a part of living. We can't control the things we lose, but we can control how we allow those losses to shape us moving forward. By accepting the grief as part of your journey, you give yourself permission to live fully again, without guilt or fear of forgetting. It's about finding peace in the midst of sorrow. One powerful way to practice acceptance is through mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about letting go of the what-ifs and should-haves and focusing on what's happening right now. When you start to experience waves of grief, instead of trying to push them away, try to just be with them. Acknowledge the pain, sit with it for a moment, and then gently let it go. This doesn't mean you won't grieve. It means you're learning to coexist with the grief in a way that doesn't overwhelm you. Express your feelings, reflect on your memories, and track your healing. Over time, you may start to notice that writing becomes less about pain and more about gratitude for life and the people you've had the privilege of knowing. You may even find that journaling helps you discover new insights about your grief, things you hadn't considered before. It's a way of bringing clarity to your emotions and ultimately finding acceptance. At some point, you may also notice that the intensity of your grief begins to lessen. You'll never forget the person you've lost or the experience that has shaped you, but you'll find that the sadness doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to consume you. You'll learn to carry the memories with love and gratitude rather than with pain. That's when true healing begins. And here's something important to remember: it's okay to laugh again. After experiencing grief, you might feel like it's wrong to feel happiness or joy, as if moving forward somehow diminishes the significance of your loss. But that's not true. Grief and joy can coexist. In fact, they should. The person you've lost, or the change you've experienced, would want you to continue living your life fully and happily. It's a way of honoring them, to keep your heart open to life's beauty and to the possibilities that still exist. As we come to the end of this discussion on handling grief, I want you to remember this: grief is not a race. There's no timeline, no right or wrong way to grieve. It's a deeply personal journey, and it's okay to go at your own pace. The key is to be gentle with yourself, to allow yourself to feel, to take care of your body, and to seek support when you need it. Over time, with these practices, you'll start to notice that you're healing, even when it doesn't feel like it. And I want to remind you that it's never too late to start. You might think that at your age, grief is something that should be easier to handle, but it's never about age. It's about love, relationships, and the meaning we place in our lives. Your grief is valid, and so is your healing process. There's no expiration date on healing. There's only the process of moving forward with patience, acceptance, and a sense of peace. I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you've been through grief, how did you cope with it? What helped you move forward? Your story may inspire someone else who's struggling with their own loss. And if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel for more practical advice on living a fulfilling life after 60. Remember, grief is a part of life, but it doesn't define who you are or how you live. Here's to living a life full of love, acceptance, and healing, no matter what you've been through. You've got this.